I lost small account after small account trading that way. Thankfully, I didn't totally lose my life savings. Okay, I need something else, but I didn't want to trade a demo account, right? Funny enough, I had some sort of pride. Oh, I'm a manual trader. I wouldn't use an algorithm because I'm an artist. I like to be artful with my trades and stuff. I finally got over that pride or whatever that is, and I decided, okay, it's okay. We're going to use algorithmic trading. We're going to give this a shot. And I finally gotten a prop firm payout. That was such a big milestone for me at the time.
So now you've crossed into the seven-figure funded club. I know all the struggle you went through to this point. Like, how has that made a difference for you?
The money is obviously great. I just bought this house. The best benefit I've gotten from it is just the confidence of knowing I've done something that so few people can do.
When did you get into trading anyways, and why?
Good question. So I would have gotten into trading, it would have been January 25th of 2022 when I took my first day trade. And prior to that, I might have had a bare minimum of long-term investing experience with 401k from my first job out of college or something like that. But my buddy Sam, he had a friend that he knew from college that was into day trading, and he started to take an interest in it, and he and I always like to share our projects. So he was telling me like, oh yeah, this is cool, we could day trade, there's tons of opportunity for making money. So I bought my first option on SPY on January 25th of 2022, and it was a put, and I made $200, and from then on it was a wrap. That's what I wanted to do. So after that, that's when the story begins, and what followed was about 3 years of pain and suffering. So
tell me about that.
Yeah. Traded options on a Webull account, small personal account, and I would share my trades with Sam and the guy that he got introduced to trading from. And, we would try and help each other critique stuff, but it was just an endless cycle of going online, trying to learn how to trade the charts. I need to support resistance, wedges. It started simple, and then it got more complex. Elliott waves. I was back testing my own strategies, all of this stuff for these options I was trading. Over time, I was never terrible at revenge trading when it came to options, because there was not a pattern day trader rule, but I had to trade with settled funds, which meant I could realistically, with my small account, only take a couple of one option trades a day. So I wasn't really at risk for totally blowing my account, but slowly and surely I lost small account after small account trading that way. So then after that, I found out about futures, and I was like, oh, futures, this is cool. There's no expiration, because with options, the chart could go, let's say we're in a call option, so you want price to go up. Price could go up, but if it takes too long to do that, you might not even be in profit. So I was like, okay, futures, there's no time expiration. I can just enter and calculate exactly how much money if I get to my take profit, and exactly how much I'll lose if I get to my stop loss. I was watching like trades by Matt and some other YouTubers that do futures trading on Tradeovate and stuff, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then that, of course, led me to prop firms like Top Step and Apex.
Okay, gotcha. And so why trade with prop firms in the first place?
Well, I think the reason a lot of beginners get into it, and the reason that I get into it, is because it seems like sort of an intermediate step between the risk of trading your own capital and then the, I guess, unrealistic, non-emotional state of trading a demo account. So when I started, I was trading a personal account, and thankfully, because of the nature of options, I didn't totally lose my life savings. And then when I got into futures, I traded a personal account again, and I lost a lot of money quick. And so I was like, okay, I need something else. But I didn't want to trade a demo account, right? Because it's not realistic. The emotions aren't there. And as with a lot of people, the demo account was too easy. I was able to, I felt like I was able to make money. I wanted the chance to make money, just like we all do. So the prop firm is a way that, hey, I can build my consistency up, and then by the time I pass a prop firm challenge, I figured I'll be a good enough trader that I can make money. So then I'll get a payout, and then I'll roll that into a personal account and just start trading that. That was the original plan.
Gotcha. So you start with futures prop firms with Apex and TopStep, I think you said?
Correct.
And so how did that go? I mean, Were you getting funded accounts? Were you making money? Like, what happened?
I wish I mean, I could go back and check and see how many, but I would guess that I probably failed 30 or 40 Top Step and Apex accounts before I got my first funded one. And then when I got that first funded one, I felt like the man. I remember I actually was trading from a mobile hotspot on my way out to Colorado for a ski trip with my fiance's family, and I passed it and I got the funded account. Oh, I felt like the man. I was like, oh baby, you're looking at a funded trader, you know, I'm a pro, all this stuff. Jeez. We come back, you know, that weekend ends, we come back and I sit down to trade, and it takes me certainly less than a week, probably about 3 days before I blow that funded account. And you know, then I'm just plunged into the depths of trading depression once again. Just like anyone who's traded will know, it's the worst.
So what do you do? I mean, that's quite a long trial. You know, 40 challenges. I mean, you're pretty persistent at that. What happens after that?
Yeah, so the next thing I did was I actually got connected with, and it was happenstance. I stumbled across a YouTube video, and in this YouTube video, the guy had a Discord community linked in his description. I opened it up and joined. I saw a bunch of traders on there that seemed legit. You know, they didn't have kind of that guru mentality. They weren't trying to sell anything. The Discord was free, but there were a number of traders who seemed legit, and the guy who owned the Discord actually is from the same state as me, which sort of made me feel more comfortable talking to him. And he was like, okay, yeah, you know, I'll review your trades, start a little journal in this Discord and show your trades and stuff. So I started doing that, and I want to say that made me a better trader, but it didn't necessarily make me better at making money. It just made me slightly better at managing risk. So then over the course of the next year and a half, sort of trading in that context, I failed a bunch more challenges, but I did manage to pass a couple, and I had one funded account specifically with Top Step that I managed to build up quite a bit. And what you may know is that Top Step has a lot of rules for funded accounts, so you have to hit a lot of criteria before you can take a payout. So I ended up, over the course of probably 2 months, finally hitting this criteria where I had enough wins of a big enough size, I had reached a high enough account buffer, so that I could take out 50% of my balance, which was not very much. It might have been $700, $800. And I sort of was talking about this with the guy who had become my mentor at the time. And Sam, of course, he's doing this all with me. And he says, you should keep building it a little bit. You've proved you could be consistent. Keep building it before you take a payout. That way you have more of a buffer to work with afterwards, right? Because futures prop firms, if you remove all your balance, you don't have any drawdown left. So the amount of steps, I mean, at this point, the journey I've gone through to get to this point, but I'm feeling good. You know, I'm finally qualified. And I think I've proven to myself that I can be consistent. So I continued trading, and my risk management was amazing, but the market is variable. Anything can happen, right? I end up taking about 10 or 12 losses in a row, and I blow this account before ever getting a payout. So now I'm at rock bottom at this point, right? At that point, my good buddy Sam, who I lived with at the time, he had started working for Blue Edge Financial, and he showed me this product, and he said, hey, this is cool. This is a different approach. It's Forex. And at first I thought, oh, Forex, you know, I don't know what that is. Pips, that's weird. That's some European nonsense trading. I stick with futures, but he showed it to me, and I said, you know what, I'm at rock bottom right now. I'll try anything. I'm gonna explore this and see how it works. And he shows me how it works, and I watch him set things up, and he starts having some serious success, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is the way to go. And funny enough, I had thought there was some sort of pride, like, oh, I'm a manual trader, I wouldn't use an algorithm because I'm an artist. I like to be artful with my trades and stuff. And that's what I told myself, that, oh, I'm in it for the love of the game. And to a certain degree, that's true, but ultimately, the goal is to make money. I'm in it to make money, and that's what makes me love the game. I finally, I got over that pride or whatever that is, and I decided, okay, it's okay. We're going to use algorithmic trading. We're going to give this a shot. And I was still trading manually, another prop firm challenge, futures on the side. And I got started real small, just 2 licenses, running 2 accounts, right? 2 challenges. And that was back in the day when E8 had the very favorable one-step challenge. And that was sort of my introduction to a prop firm that was not a total gauntlet to get through. All you had to do was pass one phase and then win a trade, and you got a payout. How amazing is that compared to the laundry list of criteria that you have to meet for Top Step or Apex? So I managed to pass my first one, and I get a payout. I'm feeling like the man. I'm finally I've finally gotten a prop firm payout. That was such a big milestone for me at the time. This was 3 years in the making. All I wanted was a prop firm payout for the last 2 years. So I had a taste of it, right? And from there, I dug in.
So what was going through your head at that point? After all this years, like, what were you thinking?
That's a great question. I mean,
so it's like you taken 2 and you passed one and you
correct,
got a payout? Or?
Correct.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So at that point, it was vindication, right? I finally knew that this was possible. And I know that a lot of people go through their trading journey and they don't have a very supportive family or friends. Thankfully, I'm blessed. I've got my buddy Sam, who I started it with and continue it with. So we were always there to support one another because we both had those years of difficulty and really rough emotional obstacles. And my family, supportive. They didn't really understand it, but they believed in me. So I never had that much pressure from that side. But from myself, I was always thinking, what am I doing? Am I wasting my life trying to learn this? Is this even possible? You're second guessing if anyone on the internet is actually profitable like they say they are. Maybe everyone's lying. All this stuff. And of course, there's black pillars out there too who will say, anyone who has a successful algorithm, they wouldn't sell it because they could just use it and make money. And then people will say, there's no evidence. How can you win as a retail trader when these billion-dollar hedge funds are in the game? And all this stuff. So it's a battle. And I kept having to tell myself, like, you just got to keep going. And eventually I broke through to the gold vein, which was the Blue Edge system. So at that point, I was feeling like just that triumph of reaching a concrete milestone after a long struggle.
So you get after a long time, you come on board with us, you get funded fairly quickly, and you get a payout, which is awesome. And then what do you do from there?
So that's a great question. So from there, I had only had experience with the one firm at the time, right? And Forex firms were still relatively new to me. And there was that natural friction where it's a new thing. You want to stick with what you know. You don't want to mess with a different website, putting your credit card in somewhere else, yada, yada. But Sam, my buddy, had taken another challenge with a different firm. And so that sort of made me feel like, okay, this is safe. And I went into the Discord and I ended up talking to Josh and some of the coaches. And they said, oh yeah, this challenge from this firm, that's a good one. And I said, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. So I took another challenge with a different firm, and that one, I'm pretty sure that one failed, and I got my challenge fee back and possibly a little more with hedging. And I was like, okay, this works out either way. And the other thing that did was it showed me another firm, and it showed me how similar it was in the setup process. So when I set up my first Forex challenge, I was like, oh, this is so confusing, a new prop firm website, because in futures, every prop firm's website is different. The purchasing process is different. The rules are completely different. But in Forex, things are much more uniform. And so when I did a challenge with that second firm, it showed me that, oh, hey, setting this up is just like setting the other one up. And from there, I was like, boom, okay, let's go to all these recommended firms and let's start cranking. And what I gave myself the goal, I said, I'm going to have 2 challenges running at all time because I had a funded account at this point. And then the next week I bumped that up. I said, I'll have 3 running at all time. Next week I bumped it up 4, and so on and so forth. The system kept spitting out funded accounts, probably once every couple of months, or once a month at least. And then the challenges that failed made their money back with the hedge. So once I learned that I could set it up, and I set up 2-3 challenges, it just became so easy. Because the first one, you're clicking all these buttons and you're like, okay, I'm following the tutorial, so I'm getting it done properly, but it's all new, so it's taken a little bit of time. But after I did it a couple times, it just became, I mean, I could set up a new challenge in 5 minutes.
So now now I know you've crossed into the 7-figure funded club, which is awesome. We're going to ship you the plaque, right? So how does that feel, and how has it made a difference in your life? I know all the struggle you went through till this point, like how has that made a difference for you?
It feels really good. I mean, I think the money is obviously great. I just bought this house, I'm bringing in more than enough to pay the mortgage every month, which is great. But funny enough, now that I'm at this point, I'd say that the best benefit I've gotten from it is just the confidence of knowing I've done something that so few people can do, and that I've stuck with something through the most difficult emotional obstacles that I've ever faced and managed to come out on top. So I don't know what a good analogy for it might be, but maybe lifting, you're fighting to get to that 2-plate bench for years, then you finally get it, even though you failed it so many times and you've had every chance to give up, but you don't. And finally stumbling across the tool that made it possible, and now feeling incredibly confident about my ability to scale and expand and continue supporting myself and my family. It gives me incredible confidence.
Yeah, quite the story. And it's because it's very similar to the story that I went through, or that a lot of the people that I talk to, it's like the same thing. It's over and over and over again that we hear from people. They go through this hero's journey, right? Of trying all this crazy stuff and going through
so many people don't make it through. And I think it's, I think honestly that the biggest reason people don't finally make it is they're not willing to try different approaches, and even radically different approaches, not just like, instead of using support and resistance, I'm gonna use an opening range break. Like completely thinking outside the box about how to extract money from the market.
Last kind of question here. So would you recommend prop farming to people? And if so, who would you recommend it to?
I would. So I would recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it to everyone. And that's something interesting because, my family has talked to me about it and they've asked me like, why doesn't everyone do this? This sounds too good to be true. And I said, well, here's the thing. It doesn't work for everyone because not everyone, like it or not everyone is able to consistently stick to a plan every day. Not everyone is willing to, meet with a coach or seek out mentorship when it's put in front of them. And not everyone is willing to try an approach that's unorthodox or outside the box, maybe is the better word for it. So if you're someone who's willing to try something new and you're capable of sticking to something, and you have a basic level of tech skill, then I would absolutely recommend prop farming to you, especially if you've been trading standard manually for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. Ed, it's been a pleasure. Thanks so much.